Hello, everyone. This is Arkansas Ash, the author of Evil Dead Rise from the Ashes. As you know, I'm doing a lot of experimenting and testing the waters of lots of new stuff to bring to life my fan novel. And of course, I wanted to try to see what people think about it. What you're about to hear is chapter 4 of my fan novel that I have been working on for quite a while. Please enjoy it, and please, if you can, leave a like, comment, and subscribe for new stuff coming out later on. Until then, hail to the king, baby.
Evil Dead, Rise from the Ashes, written by Arkansas Ash.
Chapter 4. Summer of 1968. They say adventure finds you when you stop looking for it. The air was thick with anticipation, an odd blend of damp earth and mystery that stirred the adventurous spirit within me. When I was 10, I had lots of adventures when me and my family visited Campbell Castle and the woods just on the edge of the property. I've made it my mission to find the most thrilling escapades possible. Today was destined to be different. It was a day for a grand adventure, one that even I hadn't fully anticipated. Along with my journey before leaving to the woods, where a cave that was never explored in years, was my cousin Robert. I found him outside on the steps from the castle, waiting for me to come out with my gear inside my trusty backpack. His nose was buried in a book, of course, as if the real world couldn't compete with the worlds he explored on the pages. He looked up as I approached, concern etched across his brow. Robert closed his book and looked at me. "Ash, this is a bad idea. You heard Uncle Angus we're not supposed to go to the old cave." "You mean the cave we're not allowed to go there? The one they said it cursed?" I said to him in a spooky voice, trying to scare him a little. "Yes," Robert said, answering my question. "Oh, come on. Where's your sense of adventure, Rob?" I replied. "This cave could be hiding treasure." "Or danger," he mumbled, clutching his book bag tighter, his small knuckles turning white. "Come on, it'll be fun," I urged, my excitement bubbling over. Truth be told, I had never been inside this cave before, and the thought thrilled me more than anything else. Robert sighed, and with a nod, I gestured for him to follow. A few hours later we journeyed deeper into the woods, the trees lining our path seeming to grow thicker and darker. It was as if we had crossed an invisible boundary into the realm of adventure, the world my heart craved. That's when we stumbled upon it. A gaping mouth of a cave hidden behind a thicket of ferns and wild flowers. I could feel my heart race with adrenaline. "There it is! Come on!" "Are you sure this is safe?" Robert asked, adjusting his glasses as we approached the massive mouth of the cave, a jagged grin in the hillside. I could see worry etched onto his face, and it tugged at my conscience. I rolled back my eyes, gave a bitter sigh. "Robert, don't worry. It is safe. Nothing bad is going to happen once we get inside." "What if something lives in here?" Robert whispered nervously. "Something living in here?" I said with one eyebrow raise. "Yeah, something dangerous," replied Robert. "Maybe like a troll, or better yet, a dragon," I teased, flashing him a grin. "Don't be silly, Ash. They don't excite. It's a well-known fact," said Robert, about to go into his lecture speech in awe when I cut him off. "Not this again," I said, rolling my eyes back and sighing. "What?" said Robert, asking me. "That, you know, talking about logic this and logic that, boring. Where is your sense of adventure?" I answered his question. "I do have a sense of adventure, but in a safe way." Robert said, feeling a little down, what I said to him. "Look, sorry, Robert. I just really wanted to check out this cave here, and well, I want to experience it with you. Besides, you said you wanted to an archaeology when you grow up, right?" I said to him with a smile. "Yeah, well, I do want to be one," said Robert, smiling a little. "It's the same with me. I want to be an actor," I said, walking by Robert and doing a twirl. And this is a great way to learn what it feels like to an explorer for a film role. "Okay, you convince me, Ash," said Robert, as we stepping into the cave to see what lies within. Robert hesitated, bite-sized fears lingering in his mind. "Wait, Ash, what about Marcus? He could be anywhere." Marcus at the time was my 12-year-old cousin, the notorious troublemaker who relished in making my life and Robert's a living nightmare. He was a bully, unyielding and relentless, reveling in chaos like an artist with a blank canvas. "What about him?" I asked, but already I was moving deeper in the cave. "Well, what if he follows us and, well," said Robert, a bit nervous. "There is no way he would follow us here. I don't think so, but still he wouldn't dare," I said to Robert. "But?" Robert tried to speak, but I cut him off once more. "If he does something stupid, I will give him to 1-2 and you're of here." I said that while pretending being a boxer. "Trust me, you're safe with me, Robert." "Okay, lead the way," replied Robert with a smile on his face. And with that we ventured in. The air turned cool and damp, and the earthy smell of moss invaded my senses. As our eyes adjusted, we took in the uneven, rocky terrain. I pulled out my flashlight out of my backpack, turned it on to guide us even further in. Inside the cave it was illuminated by patches of sunlight, filtering through cracks in the stone above. Stalactites hung like ancient, jagged teeth, and the walls glistened with moisture, creating an atmosphere both eerie and enchanting. As we ventured deeper, I felt a strange pull, an unexplainable energy that beckoned us forward. We ventured deeper, guided only by the flicker of my flashlight, illuminating the strange stalactites that hung from the ceiling like nature's chandelier. After what felt like an eternity of silence, we stumbled upon a large cavern. The walls glimmered with quartz and darkened to an almost mystical hue around a massive wooden table in the very center. My heart raced. It felt as if we had crossed some unseen threshold into a long-forgotten world. "Look at this!" I exclaimed as we stumbled upon a table, its surface covered in dust. But what was on it was something out of the world. Beneath the layer of grime lay objects that made my heart skip a beat. A glinting necklace that looked like a small silver magnifying glass. A rusty shotgun that must have once been grand. A chainsaw, and an old cloak folded neatly beside the items as if waiting for us to arrive. "What is this stuff?" asked Robert, looking what was in front of us. "Maybe it's treasure," I exclaimed, unable to contain my excitement. I reached for the necklace, its pendant catching the glint of sunlight. But Robert stopped me, his eyes darting toward the entrance. "Ash, we should leave. We shouldn't touch anything." His voice shook with urgency. These things might belong to someone, or worse. Before I could argue, the sound of a loud cackle echoed in the cave, slicing through the thick air like a knife. There was no mistaking it. Marcus had found us. "Look who it is, the brave adventurers come to play at my treasure hunt." He stepped into the light, a wicked grin plastered across his face. "Go away, Marcus," I shouted, though inside I felt a tremor of fear. I hated how he could turn my excitement into dread with just a few words. "What's this? A shotgun? A chainsaw?" He laughed as he inspected the objects, his fingers brushing over the cloak. "Are you boys playing dress-up?" "Stop it!" Robert shouted, stepping protectively in front of me. "You don't know what you're messing with." "Or what? You'll call our mum?" He laughed, his eyes landing on the shotgun. "Looks like a pile of junk." I stepped forward, indignation swelling inside me. "We found it fair and square. You can't just barge in and take our stuff." "Take?" he snorted, crossing the cobbled floor with an exaggerated swagger. "Nah, I'm just here to show you how a real adventure goes." To my horror, Marcus's hands shot out, grabbing the chainsaw resting on the table. I hadn't noticed it before. It seemed to pulse with a menacing energy under the flickering light. He lifted it as if it were a sword from a fantasy novel, its presence more menacing than flattering. "No, Marcus, put that down!" Robert cried firmly behind me, knowing all too well that this was destined to end badly. But Marcus was already grinning like a madman. "Watch this!" he yelled, swinging the chainsaw around like a sword, while a rush of panic coursed through me. In a split second, the chain whirred to life, sending shards of terror through my bones. Without thinking, I lunged forward, trying to wrestle it away. "Marcus, stop!" It was too late. With a wild gesture, he swung the chainsaw, and the blade grazed my chin, leaving a L-shaped cut. I could feel the pain and the blood dripping onto the floor. "What did you do?" I gasped, my hand shooting to my chin as hot blood seeped between my fingers as I tried to stop the bleeding. I'm sorry. I didn't mean..." Marcus stammered in shock, his bravado wavering for the first time. Robert pulled out a handkerchief and handed it to me to stop the bleeding. Then in that moment, the cave felt cavernous and cold. Then a low rumble filled the air, vibrations skittering through the ground as a voice, deep and resonating, echoed from the walls of the cave. "Leave." Without waiting for a response, Marcus took a step back, dropping the chainsaw to the ground, and bolted out of the cave, his footsteps echoing loudly against the rock. "What's happening?" Robert gasped, his wide eyes fixated on the table, where the other items began to tremble. Suddenly the cave shook violently, and I reflexively grabbed Robert's wrist. "Run!" I yelled, dragged Robert back toward the entrance, desperate to escape the chaos. We ran as fast our legs can carry us, until we made it just as the entrance, collapsing a crumbled remnant of the secrets it once kept hidden. Breathless and exhilarated, I looked at my cousin Robert. We shared a silent agreement. We had uncovered something monumental today. The cave, the treasures, and the chaos of Marcus had been just the beginning. As we walked away from the crumbling cave, my heart raced, yet a sense of relief washed over me. We had survived, and yet something gnawed at me. The thrill of the unknown lingered in the air, an unshakable promise of adventure that awaited. I felt the sting of my wound again. I'd learned a valuable lesson that day. Sometimes danger doesn't come from the shadows, but from the hands of those we trust most. And while my chin would bear a battle scar, giving me an L was more than just an injury. It was a lesson in courage, friendship, and knowing who to call a hero, which would come later on in my life. I glanced back at the cave one last time, wondering what secrets remained hidden in the darkness, waiting for the next discoverer. My heart still raced with thrill and adventure, a stark reminder of what I had faced and what awaited just beyond the horizon. I wasn't ready to give up just yet.